To gain immunity from the deadly disease, the alien girl must breed with a human. The sterile white of the medical bag felt oppressive as Nathan Hall studied the readings on his hollow screen. His dark eyes narrowed at the data streaming across the display numbers and graphs that told a story of impending doom. The plague was spreading faster than anyone had anticipated, and their latest subject, their last hope, lay weakening on the observation bed. Rary's silvery skin had lost its characteristic luminescence, now appearing dull and ashen. Her golden eyes, usually bright with curiosity, had dimmed to a sickly amber. The monitoring equipment beeped steadily, tracking her deteriorating condition. How much longer? She whispered, her melodic voice now raspy. Nathan ran a hand through his short black hair, his military bearing momentarily forgotten. The infection rate is accelerating. We have maybe 48 hours before. He stopped himself, unwilling to voice the inevitable conclusion. Dr. Pax Trell, the lead xenobiologist, cleared his throat. There might be one last option. He glanced meaningfully at Nathan. We've been analyzing human immunity to the plague, and there's something unique about their genetic structure. Rhea struggled to sit up, her long silver hair cascading over her shoulders. What do you mean? The human immune system, Paul continued, doesn't just fight off the plague, it adapts to it. But simple genetic manipulation isn't enough. We need a more direct approach. Nathan's jaw tightened as he understood the implication. You're suggesting natural reproduction. That's your solution. The plague affects the Aryan reproductive system. First, Pax Trell explained, their bodies reject artificial insemination, but a natural coupling with the right human partner. He let the sentence hang. Rhea's golden eyes widened. You want me to mate with a human? Her voice carried equal parts disbelief and desperate hope. Not just any human, Pax Trell said, turning to Nathan. We need someone with exceptionally strong genetic markers for plague resistance. Someone like you, Captain Hall. Nathan felt the weight of both their gazes. His mind raced through the implications. This wasn't just about saving one life. The entire Aryan species could depend on this working. This is insane, he muttered, but his resolve was already weakening as he watched Rhea struggle for breath. I don't want to die, she whispered, her eyes meeting his. But I won't force this on you. Nathan stepped closer to her bed, his combat boots silent on the metal floor. How certain are you this will work? He asked. Paxer, 87% chance of success, based on our models. But it has to be soon, very soon. Rhea reached out her delicate fingers, brushing Nathan's arm. The touch sent an electric current through him. I know it's asking too much, she said softly. Nathan caught her hand before it could fall. I'll do it, he said firmly. Whatever it takes to save you, to save your people. Turpel's revelation about multiple encounters being necessary created an unexpected tension in the medical bay. Nathan stood by the observation window, watching the stars drift past. While processing this new information behind him, he could hear the soft beeping of medical equipment monitoring Rhea's vital signs. The human immune system is remarkably adaptable, Paxer explained, his elongated fingers gesturing at the holographic display. But for the genetic transfer to take hold in an Aryan body, we need sustained exposure. Over approximately 72 hours, Nathan turned back to face them. 3 days at minimum, Pell confirmed with the regular intimate contact. Rhea's silvery skin flush, with a subtle rose tint, a sign that despite her illness, she was still very much aware of the implications. Her golden eyes met Nathan's, and he felt that same electric connection from before. I understand if this changes your decision, she said softly. Nathan approached her bed, his military boots making no sound on the polished floor. It doesn't, he managed a slight smile, though I admit this isn't how I typically get to know someone. That earned him a weak laugh from Rhea. And I never imagined my first human encounter would be quite so clinical. We'll need to prepare special quarters. Impact Trill interjected, his scientific detachment, a stark contrast to the intimate nature of their discussion. The environment must be carefully controlled to optimize the genetic transfer process. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You mean a love nest with medical monitoring? Precisely, Kex Trell replied, missing or choosing to ignore the humor. We've modified the VIP suite on Deck 3. It's been equipped with all necessary medical equipment, but designed to feel more comfortable than a standard medical bay. Attempted to sit up, and then Nathan instinctively moved to help her. His hand brushed against her arm, and he was surprised by how warm her skin felt. The contact sent a pleasant shiver through both of them. "When do we begin?" she asked, her voice stronger than before. "Tonight," Paxar answered. "Your condition is deteriorating faster than anticipated. We can't afford to wait." Nathan helped R to her feet, supporting her as she swayed slightly. "I'll need to file some paperwork with Caro," he said. "Taking 3 days off for an interspecies breeding program isn't exactly covered in standard military protocols already handled." Pell assured him this has been classified as a top priority diplomatic mission. "Your superiors have granted you unlimited leave until the procedure is complete." As they made their way to the prepared quarters, Nathan couldn't help but notice how naturally Rhea fit against his side. Her silvery hair carried a subtle fragrance that reminded him of spring rain. "I never thought I'd be saving a world through this method," Nathan admitted as they walked. Rhea's lips curved into a smile. "Are you complaining, Captain?" "Not at all," he grinned, "though I usually prefer dinner first." "Well," she replied, her golden eyes twinkling despite her weakness, "we have 3 days. Perhaps we can arrange something between our medical obligations." The VIP suite was impressive. The medical equipment had been tastefully integrated into the decor, and the lighting was soft and adjustable. A large viewport offered a spectacular view of space, and the bed, while equipped with monitoring sensors, looked far more inviting than a medical "See, everything you need is here," Powell explained, gesturing to various amenities. "The computer monitor vital signs and alert medical staff if necessary, but otherwise you'll have complete privacy." As Paxtrell prepared to leave, he turned back with one final comment. "Remember, this isn't just about physical coupling. The more genuine the connection, the better the chances of successful genetic transfer." After he left, Nathan and Rhea stood in awkward silence for a moment. "Well," Nathan finally said, "that's probably the most scientific way anyone has ever told me to make it meaningful." Rhea laughed, then swayed slightly. Nathan steadied her, and suddenly they were very close. Her golden eyes searched his face, and he could feel her breath against his skin. "I'm afraid I don't know much about human courtship rituals," she admitted. Nathan brushed a strand of silver hair from her face. "Then let me teach you." The next few hours passed in a gentle exploration of their differences and similarities. They talked, shared stories, and gradually grew more comfortable with each other. Nathan learned that Araxian culture valued emotional connections as much as physical ones, and Russia discovered that humans could be surprisingly tender despite their reputation for strength. "Your species fascinates me," Rhea admitted, resting against the cushioned headboard. "You're so passionate about everything. You throw yourselves into situations that would terrify most races." Nathan sat beside her. Their shoulders touched, like agreeing to mate with an alien to save her species. She turned to face him, her golden eyes intense. "Exactly. Any other race would have hesitated, analyzed, debated the ethics. You just decided when something feels right," he said softly. "Why fight it?" Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory. Her lips were warmer than he expected, and the contact sent tingles through his entire body. When they parted, her skin was glowing faintly, a characteristic of Axian arousal that was. She breathed. "Just the beginning," he promised. As night cycle approached, their natural chemistry grew stronger. The medical monitors beeped steadily in the background, recording every moment of their increasing intimacy, but neither paid attention to the equipment anymore, lost in their own world of discovery and growing desire. "Your heart rate increases when I touch you here," Rhea observed, her fingers trailing along his neck, "and your skin glows brighter when I do this," he responded, brushing his lips against her collarbone. They took their time, learning each other's responses, building a connection that went beyond the mere biological imperative that had brought them together. The medical necessity of their union faded into the background, replaced by genuine attraction and mounting desire. As the artificial night deepened, their exploration became more intimate. The medical bay's lights dimmed automatically, leaving them in a gentle starlit glow from the viewport. Their shadows merged on the wall as they came together, the culmination of hours of building tension and growing trust. The next morning, Dr. Pax's voice came through the room's communication system. "Initial readings are promising. The genetic transfer appears to be taking hold. However, we'll need to maintain the current protocol for the full 72 hours to ensure complete immunity." Nathan looked at Rhea, who was curled against his side. Her silver hair spread across his chest. Her skin had regained some of its natural luster, and her breathing was stronger. "I think we can manage that," he replied, earning a soft laugh from Rhea. The alarm pierced through their peaceful morning, its harsh tone shattering the intimate atmosphere that cultivated her. Pax Trell's voice followed immediately, tight with concern. "Captain Hall, we detecting cellular reaction patterns. In Rhea's bloodstream, her immune system is fighting against the genetic transfer." Nathan felt Rhea stiffen beside him. Her skin, which had begun to regain its healthy glow, was already dulling to that sickly shade he'd first seen in the medical bay. "I thought the initial readings were promising," Nathan said, helping Rhea sit up as she began to shiver. "They were," Pax Trell replied, "but Araxi and biology is more complex than we anticipated. The genetic material is being recognized as a threat rather than a cure." Rita's golden eyes met Nathan, fear evident in their depths. "What does this mean?" Pax Trell's holographic image appeared near the bed, his elongated features creased with concentration. "Your body's natural defenses are treating the human genetic material as an invader. We need to intensify the transfer process. The connection must be deeper, more frequent." Nathan asked, his arm instinctively tightening around Riva's shoulders. "The human immune response becomes stronger under stress or heightened emotional states." XTR explained, "Captain, your body produces more potent genetic markers during moments of intense passion." Ria's skin flushed with a faint rose tint, but her voice remained steady. "You're saying we need to make our encounters more passionate?" "Precisely. Clinical coupling isn't enough. We need genuine, intense emotional and physical connection, the kind that humans are famous for throughout the galaxy." Nathan couldn't help but smile at that. "So our reputation precedes us. Your species is known for its capacity for deep emotional bonds during mating." Pro confirmed, "It's one of the reasons we believe this procedure might work." Rhea suddenly doubled over, a spasm of pain racking her body. Nathan held her close and feeling helpless as she trembled against him. "How long do we have?" he demanded. "Hours, maybe less. The rejection is accelerating the plague's progression. If we can establish a stronger genetic bond soon." Nathan cooed, Rhea's face in his hands, forcing her to look at him. "Hey, stay with me. We're not giving up." Her lips curved into a weak smile. "I never knew humans were so stubborn." "Stubborn doesn't begin to cover it," he assured her. "We're going to beat this." Pax Trell cleared his throat. "I've adjusted the environment controls to optimize conditions. The room's resonance field will now amplify emotional signatures. It should help strengthen the genetic transfer." As the hologram flickered out, Nathan felt the air around them change, becoming charged with an almost electric intensity. Every point of contact between his skin and Raz tingled with enhanced sensitivity. "That," she said, "different." Rhea breathed, her golden eyes widening as she registered the change. Nathan ran his fingers along her arm, watching as her skin illuminated in response, trailing patterns of light following his touch. "Fascinating. The resonance field," she explained, her voice hitching. "It's designed to heighten Aryan empathic sensitivity. We usually only use it in healing ceremonies, but this," she gasped as he traced her collarbone, "this is much stronger, so we can literally feel each other's emotions." Nathan asked, intrigued by the possibilities. "More than that, we can share them, amplify them. It's how our healers work, by sharing their life force with the sick." Nathan considered this new information. "Then maybe that's what we've been missing. We've been treating this like a medical procedure when it should be more like a healing ceremony." Rhea finished, understanding dawning in her eyes. Their next kiss was different from any before. The resonance field amplified every sensation, every emotion. Nathan could feel Rhea's desire, her fear, her hope, all mingling with his own feelings in a dizzying spiral of shared consciousness. The medical monitors began registering unprecedented levels of genetic transfer, but neither of them paid attention to the readings anymore. They were lost in their own world, where science and passion merged into something entirely new. Hours passed in a blur of heightened sensations and shared emotions. The resonance field transformed their intimate encounters into something transcendent beyond mere physical connection. Every touch carried meaning. Every kiss transferred not just genetic material, but pure life force. Through their enhanced connection, Nathan began to understand Axian culture in ways no human ever had before: their reverence for life, their deep spiritual connection to the universe itself. It all made perfect sense when experienced through the resonance field. "Your people," Rio whispered during a brief rest, her skin glowing with renewed vitality. "You feel everything so intensely. How do you bear it?" Nathan traced patterns on her luminescent skin, watching the light follow his fingers. "We don't just bear it. We thrive on it. Humans are driven by our emotions, our passions. It's what makes us who we are." "It's beautiful," she said, softly, terrifying, but beautiful. The medical monitors chimed, drawing their attention to Dr. Paxtrell's voice came through, excited but controlled. "The rejection is reversing. Whatever you're doing, it's working. The genetic transfer has stabilized, and Raya's immune system is beginning to adapt the human resistance patterns." Nathan felt Ria's joy surge through their shared connection, mixing with his own relief. Her skin brightened noticeably, the sickly pore giving way to healthy radiance. "The resonance field," she explained to Paxtrell, "it's allowing for complete integration of the genetic material. It's not just a physical transfer anymore, it's a true melding." "Fascinating," Pell replied. "This could revolutionize our understanding of cross-species medical procedures. But we're not out of danger yet. The transfer needs to be maintained for at least another day to ensure permanent immunity." Nathan pulled Ria closer, feeling her contentment through their bond. "I think we can handle that." "Indeed," Paxtrell agreed, a hint of amusement in his voice. "I'll leave you to it." As the communication ended, Ria turned to Nathan with shining eyes. "You've saved my life." "We're not done yet," he reminded her, brushing a strand of silver hair from her face. "No," she agreed, her fingers tracing the contours of his chest. "We're just beginning." Through their enhanced connection, Nathan could feel her growing strength, her returning vitality, but more than that, he felt something else developing, something neither of them had anticipated when this began. The final hours of their prescribed treatment approached with the inevitability of a setting sun. The medical monitors displayed Raya's completely restored vital signs. Her immune system had not only accepted the human genetic material, but had fully integrated it, creating a hybrid defense mechanism stronger than either species possessed naturally. Nathan watched the starfield through the viewport, his reflection overlaid against the cosmic backdrop behind him. Raya's form glowed with health, her silvery skin radiating a soft luminescence that filled the chamber with ethereal light. 20 minutes until the mandatory period ends, Dipper's voice announced through the comm system. "All readings indicate complete success. Congratulations to you both." The words hung in the air between them, heavy with implication. Success meant separation, the end of their connection, a return to their respective worlds and duties. Through the resonance field, Nathan felt Ria's emotional turmoil mirror his own, the prospect of disconnecting, of losing this profound bond they developed created an almost physical ache in both of them. "I never expected this," Ria said softly, moving to stand beside him at the viewport. "When they first suggested the procedure, I thought it would be a clinical necessity, something to endure for survival." Nathan turned to face her, drinking in the sight of her restored vitality. Her golden eyes sparkled with an inner fire that had nothing to do with the plague's fever. "And now I understand why humans are so celebrated across the galaxy. Your capacity for connection, for feeling, it's unlike anything in our histories." The resident field hummed around them, amplifying their growing emotional tension. Every second that ticked away felt precious, irreplaceable. "We don't have to end it," Nathan said, voicing the thought they'd both been avoiding. "The field could be maintained. The energy requirements alone would be—" "I don't care about the technical details," he interrupted, taking her hands in his. Through their touch, waves of shared emotion flowed between them. "This is more than just a medical procedure. Now you feel it too." Ria's skin brightened in response to his words, patterns of light dancing across her surface like aurora borealis. "It would be unprecedented. No Arxan has ever maintained a permanent bond with another species. Humans, special and unprecedented." Nathan reminded her with a slight smile. "It's kind of our thing there." Pell's hologram materialized nearby, his expression thoughtful. "I couldn't help but overhear. From a scientific perspective, maintaining the bond could provide invaluable data about long-term human-orient genetic compatibility. Always the scientist, Rhea teased, but her grip on Nathan's hands tightened. 10 minutes remaining, the computer announced dispassionately. Nathan felt Rhea's fear. Spying through their connection, fear of losing this newfound intimacy, this depth of understanding that transcended physical attraction. There would be consequences. Doctors warned the resident field affects both participants. Your emotional states would remain linked. You'd share not just pleasure but pain, fear, every sensation. We already do, Nathan pointed out. These past 3 days have shown us what that means. Freehand traced the contours of his face, sending shivers of shared sensation through their bond. Your military career can adapt. Humans are good at that too. 5 minutes. The computer intoned. Pax Trell's hologram flickered. If you're serious about this, the decision must be made now. Once the field collapses, reestablishing it won't have the same effect. The initial bonding was unique to your circumstances. Nathan pulled Rhea closer, feeling her rapid heartbeat echo through their connection. I'm not ready to lose this, to lose you. The implications for both our species, she began, could change everything. He finished. But that's not why I want to maintain the bond, this connection, what we've built here. It's more than just genetics or chemistry. It's something entirely new. 2 minutes remaining, the computer announced through their bond. Nathan felt Rhea resolve crystallize. Her fear melted away, replaced by a certainty that matched his own. Do it, she told Paxil. Maintain the field. The hologram nodded. I'll need to adjust the resonance parameters to support long-term stability. You may experience increased sensitivity for a few moments. As Pax Trill worked, the field's intensity surged. Nathan and Rhea gasped simultaneously as their emotional connection deepened beyond anything they'd experienced before. Every sensation amplified, every feeling magnified. 32nd, the computer continued its countdown. Field stabilization in progress. Pax Trell reported neural patterns are synchronizing. Remarkable. The compatibility is even higher than our initial reading suggested. Nathan could barely focus on the scientist's words through their enhanced bond. He was experiencing Rhea's emotions as if they were his own. Her joy, her excitement, her love, the depth of feeling threatened to overwhelm him. 10 field stabilization complete. Pexer announced triumphantly. The permain bond is established. The countdown fell silent in its place. A new kind of peace settled over the chamber. The frantic urgency of their previous encounters gave way to something deeper, more profound. How do you feel? Pax Trell asked, his scientific curiosity evident. Rhea's skin pulsed with patterns of light that reflected their shared emotional state. Complete, she whispered. The bond appears stable. Pexer continued, but we'll need to monitor you both closely. This is uncharted territory. Nathan barely heard him. Through their connection, he and Rhea were experiencing a level of intimacy that transcended physical boundaries. Every touch, every thought, every emotion flowed freely between them. I can feel everything. Rhea marveled. Her golden eyes widened with wonder. Your thoughts, your feelings, they're so vibrant, so alive. Welcome to the human experience. Nathan smiled, drawing her closer. We tend to feel things rather intensely. I'm beginning to understand why your species has accomplished so much, she replied. This passion, this drive, it's incredible. Pelt's hologram flickered. I'll leave you to adjust to the permanent bond. Remember, you're making history, the first human-Aryan pair to maintain a resonance connection. The implications for both our species can wait. Nathan interrupted, not taking his eyes off Rhea. After the hologram disappeared, they stood in comfortable silence, exploring the new dimensions of their permanent connection. Through the viewport, the stars seemed to shine brighter, as if reflecting the intensity of their bond. No regrets? Nathan asked, though he could feel the answer through their connection. Rhea's response was to kiss him, sending waves of shared sensation through their bond. When they finally parted, her skin was glowing brighter than ever. The plague brought us together, she said softly, but this is our choice, our future. Speaking of the future, Nathan grinned. How do you feel about explaining this to my commanding officer? Her laughter, both heard and felt through their bond, filled the chamber. After everything we've been through, I think we can handle anything. As they held each other, bathed in starlight, in the gentle pulse of the resident field, both knew they'd crossed a threshold from which there was no return. What had begun as a desperate measure to save a life had evolved into something far more significant, a bridge between Species, a new kind of connection that promised to change both their worlds forever. The news of their successful bonding spread through diplomatic channels faster than a quantum transmission. Within hours of their decision to maintain the residence field, Nathan and Rhea found themselves at the center of an interstellar political storm. Admiral Harrison's hologram dominated the chamber, his weathered features set in a mixture of amazement and concern. Let me get this straight, Captain Hall. You've permanently bonded yourself to an Aryan through some kind of psychic field, resonance field, Sir. Nathan corrected, standing at attention. Despite being dressed in civilian clothes beside him, Rhea's presence in his mind provided a comforting warmth. And yes, the bond appears to be permanent. Appears to be. The Admiral's eyebrow rose. You took this step without knowing for certain through their connection. Nathan felt Rhea's diplomatic instincts kick in. She stepped forward, her silvery skin glowing with subtle authority. Admiral, the permanent bond was necessary to maintain the genetic transfer that saved my life, but it's become clear that the implications go far beyond one life. Der Paxel materialized in another hologram, his elongated features animated with excitement. The Admiral needs to see these readings. The genetic compatibility is unprecedented. Their combined immune response could be the key to saving millions. Harrison's stern expression softened slightly. Explain. The human-Aryan genetic merger has created something entirely new. Pax Tr continued. A hybrid immune system that's not just resistant to the plague, it actively fights it. If we can replicate this process you're suggesting, we encourage more of these. B. Harrison interrupted. Nathan felt Rita's anxiety spike through their connection. He sent back waves of reassurance, their silent exchange unnoticed by the others. Not exactly, Sir. Nathan said. Our situation was unique. The residence field responded to our particular compatibility. Compatibility, Harrison repeated dryly. Is that what we're calling it now? Through their bond. Nathan felt Rhea's amusement at the Admiral's discomfort. With the intimate nature of their connection, he struggled to maintain his professional demeanor. The point is, Admiral Rhea interjected smoothly, our success offers hope. The plague has already claimed thousands of Aryan lives. With the right approach, we could develop a treatment based on our combined immunity. The Aryan High Council is already demanding access to our research, Pax Trill added, and several human medical institutions have expressed interest in studying the bonding process. Harrison's hologram flickered as he paced. This could be exactly what we need to strengthen the human-Aryan alliance. But it's also a political minefield, Captain Hall. Are you prepared for what this means? Nathan straightened. Sir, you and your partner will become the face of this breakthrough. Every decision you make, every aspect of your relationship will be scrutinized by both species through their bond. Nathan and Rhea shared a moment of perfect understanding. The intimacy they developed wasn't just personal anymore. It had become a symbol of hope for an entire civilization. We're ready, sir. Nathan answered, feeling Rhea's agreement pulse through their connection. Very well, Harrison nodded. I'm assigning you both to a special diplomatic mission. You'll work with Pax Trill to develop a treatment protocol based on your unique situation. The Aryan Medical Council has already prepared facilities for our research. Pale added eagerly. We'll need to study how your bond functions under various conditions. Rhea's hand found Nathan's, their touch sending ripples of shared sensation through the residence field. Will we maintain privacy during these studies? She asked, her concern evident in both her voice and their bond. Of course, Powell assured them the intimate nature of the bonding process will remain confidential. Weren't more interested in the medical implications. Harrison's hologram crossed its arms. Speaking of implications, Captain, your military duties will need to be adjusted. Nathan finished. I understand, sir, but given the diplomatic importance of our situation, yes. Harrison waved off his concern. You'll be reassigned to the diplomatic corps effective immediately. The brass is already salivating over the potential for improved human-Aryan relations. Through their connection, Nathan felt Rhea's relief mixed with his own. They wouldn't be separated. There is one more thing, Pell interjected. The resonance field stability appears to be influenced by emotional intensity to maintain optimal conditions for studying. Your immunity you'll need to keep the connection strong, Rhea finished diplomatically, her skin brightening with what Nathan recognized as embarrassment. Harrison's hologram pinched its bridge of its nose. I don't want details, just do what you need to do. Discreetly after the holograms disappeared, Nathan and Rhea found themselves alone in their chamber. The weight of their new responsibility settled over them, tempered by the warmth of their shared connection. Well, Nathan said, pulling her close, that went better than expected. Rhea's skin pulsed with patterns of light that reflected their mutual relief and growing desire. They seemed more interested in the medical implications than the personal aspects. Can you blame them? We might have just discovered the key to saving your entire species through their bond. He felt her mood shift from professional detachment to something more intimate. Speaking of maintaining optimal conditions, she murmured, her fingers tracing patterns on his chest. Dr. Paxtrell did say we needed to keep the connection strong. Nathan agreed, his hand sliding along her luminescent skin. For science, of course, Rhea added with a playful smile that sent waves of anticipation through their bond. Of course, he echoed, drawing her into a kiss that made the resident field hum with intensity. We wouldn't want to disappoint our superiors. As they lost themselves in each other, their shared sensations amplified by the field, both knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Their connection had evolved from a desperate medical procedure into something far more significant, a bridge between species, a cure for a deadly plague, and a love that transcended biological barriers. The stars outside their viewports seemed to pulse in rhythm with their passion, witnesses to a union that would change the course of both their civilizations forever. Hours later, as they lay entwined in the afterglow of their connection, the chamber's communication system chimed softly. Dr. Pax's voice came through, carefully neutral. Pardon the interruption, but the latest readings from your bond are extraordinary. The genetic integration has reached new levels of stability. Nathan felt Rhea's satisfaction ripple through their connection. I told you humans were good at maintaining strong bonds, he murmured. Against her glowing skin, the Aryan High Council has scheduled an emergency session. Paxtrell continued, they want to begin developing protocols for identifying other compatible pairs immediately. Rhea sat up, her silver hair cascading over her shoulders. They can't rush this. What Nathan and I have, it's not just about biological compatibility through their bond. Nathan felt her protective instinct toward their unique connection. She's right, he added, the emotional component is crucial. You can't force these bonds. Of course, Paxtrell agreed, but we need to begin somewhere. Your success offers hope to thousands of infected or Axians. The Council is suggesting a volunteer program. Carefully matched pairs under our supervision, Rhea insisted, her golden eyes flashing. We won't let anyone go through this without proper preparation and genuine compatibility. Nathan sent waves of agreement through their bond, admiring her fierce protection of what they discovered together. Understood, Pax replied. I'll convey your conditions to the Council. In the meantime, please continue maintaining optimal bond conditions. The data is invaluable. After the communication ended, Nathan pulled Rhea back into his embrace. Optimal bond conditions. Her skin brightened with amusement and renewed desire. It's our duty to science, she teased, trailing her fingers along his jaw. To science, he agreed, capturing her lips in a kiss that made the resonance fielded pulse with intensity. The Aryan High Council chamber gleamed with bioluminescent crystals, their soft light reflecting off the polished surfaces of the circular room. Nathan stood beside Rhea, their bond humming with shared tension as they faced the assembled council members. High Counselor Theon, his elongated features set in diplomatic neutrality, addressed them from the central podium. The plague has claimed another 1,000 lives since your successful bonding time is not our ally. Through their connection, Nathan felt Rhea's grief at the news. Her people were dying while bureaucrats debated protocols. We understand the urgency, Rhea responded, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil, but rushing the bonding process could be catastrophic. The human military has already identified 50 potential candidates. Admiral Harrison's hologram interjected from its position near the podium, all volunteers, all showing high genetic compatibility markers. Nathan stepped forward, his military training evident in his bearing. with respect, Sir, genetic compatibility is only part of the equation. The resonance field responds to emotional connections. Without that, then expedite the emotional process. Counselor Theron interrupted. Surely there are ways to encourage attachment. Rhea's skin flared with indignation, sending pulses of anger through their bond. You can't force emotional connections. The field requires genuine passion, real desire. Anything less could kill both participants. Dr. Pax Trell materialized in another hologram. His scientific excitement barely contained. The counselor raises an interesting point. Perhaps we could develop protocols to optimize compatibility matching, create environments conducive to rapid bonding. We're not talking about breeding livestock, Nathan cut in his frustration. Bleeding through their bond. These are people's lives, their most intimate connections. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, each official arguing their position through it all. Nathan and Rhea remained physically and mentally linked, their bond providing an anchor of stability in the chaos. Enough. Harrison's voice cut through the den. Captain Hall, Lady Terry, what do you propose? Nathan felt Rita's mind brush against his, sharing an idea. He nodded slightly, letting her take the lead. A compromise, she began, her skin glowing with determination. We'll accelerate the screening process, but each pair must have time to develop a natural connection. No artificial enhancement, no forced intimacy. And how long would this take? Thien demanded. As long as it needs to, Nathan replied firmly, but we can begin preliminary introductions immediately. Let compatible pairs meet, interact naturally through their bond. Rhea sent waves of approval at his suggestion. The resonance field between them strengthened, making her skin pulse with subtle patterns of light that drew attention from the assembled officials. Fascinating, Marpixer murmured, his instruments clearly detecting the surge in their connection. The field responds to their mutual support, their purpose. Harrison's holograms study them intently. The field's response is visible even during diplomatic discussions. Explain. Nathan felt Rhea's amusement through their bond. The connection isn't just physical, Admiral, it's a constant state of awareness of shared emotion and purpose, which is exactly why we can't rush this process. Rhea added, her fingers intertwining with Nathan's. The contact sent ripples of warmth through their bond. The field requires genuine intimacy, not just proximity. Counselor Theron's expression softened slightly. Perhaps a demonstration would be informative. Would you be willing to show us how the field responds to various types of interaction through their connection? Nathan felt Rhea's initial hesitation, followed by calculated agreement. She turned to face him, her golden eyes meeting his with unmistakable intent. Keep it diplomatic, Harrison muttered, but there was a hint of humor in his voice as Nathan drew Ara closer. The resonance field became visible to the assembled officials, a subtle aurora of energy that surrounded them. Both their natural chemistry, enhanced by weeks of intimate connection, made the field pulse with increasing intensity. Remarkable. Pax Trill breathed, his instruments recording frantically. The energy patterns are completely synchronized. This level of harmony, it's unprecedented. The chamber fell silent as the assembled diplomats watched the field's response to their growing attraction. Nathan and Rhea maintained professional decorum, but their bond thrummed with barely contained desire. I believe we've made our point, R said softly, her skin glowing with a combination of diplomatic satisfaction and personal arousal. The council members shifted uncomfortably, suddenly very aware of the intimate nature of what they were asking other pairs to undertake. Very well, Theon conceded, we will proceed with your suggested approach, but we expect regular progress reports, and my instruments can monitor the development of new bonds without invading personal privacy. Pax Trell interrupted, correctly reading the room's discomfort. Harrison's hologram nodded approvingly. Captain Hall, you and Lady Terry will oversee the introduction process. Screen. The volunteers facilitate initial meetings, but let nature take its course through their connection. Nathan felt Rio's relief mixed with his own. They'd won this round, protecting future pairs from undue pressure while still moving the program forward. If that's all, Nathan said, struggling to maintain his professional demeanor as Rhea's fingers traced patterns on his palm. We should return to our quarters to prepare for tomorrow's candidates, of course. Fawn agreed quickly, perhaps too aware of the rising intensity of their bond. We'll expect your first progress report in 48 Hours as they left the chamber, their connection hummed with Char triumph and growing desire. The diplomatic victory, combined with the public display of their bond, had heightened their natural attractions to fever pitch. That was well played, Nathan murmured as they entered their private quarters, using our connection to make them understand. Rhea's skin brightened as she pressed against him. Humans aren't the only ones who can be clever, though I must admit, your species has a particular talent for passionate diplomacy. The residents feel pulsed around them, responding to their mounting desire through their bond. Each could feel the other's need for both emotional and physical connection. After the stressful diplomatic session, we should probably review the candidate files, Nathan said, not making any move to reach for the datapad. Rhea agreed, her fingers already working at the fastenings of his diplomatic uniform. But first, I believe we need to maintain optimal field conditions for science. Of course, he echoed, drawing her into a kiss that made the resonance field flare with intensity. We wouldn't want our readings to drop during tomorrow's demonstrations. Hours later, as they lay contentedly entwined, the communication system chimed softly. Dr. Pax's voice came through, trying and failing to sound purely professional. The field strength readings from your quarters are most encouraging. Perhaps we should schedule the candidate introductions for later in the day. Nathan felt Rhea's amusement ripple through their bond. Probably wise, she agreed, her skin still glowing from their recent activities. After the communication ended, they shared a moment of peaceful connection, their bond humming with satisfied contentment. Do you think the other pairs will find this? Rhea asked, tracing patterns on his chest. This level of connection, if they're given the chance to develop it. Naturally, Nathan replied, sending waves of reassurance through their bond. We'll make sure of it. 1 year later, the observation deck of the Interspecies Medical Center sparkled with a combined bioluminescence of a dozen bonded pairs. Humans and Aryans mingled freely, their resonance fields creating a spectacular aurora that filled the space with shifting colors. Nathan stood at the viewport, Rhea's familiar presence both in his arms and in his mind. Through their bond, they shared a moment of pride as they watched their first successful pair demonstrate the field response to a delegation from the Centurion Alliance. Remarkable, the Centurion ambassador marveled, his crystalline form refracting the light from the residents' fields. And this bonding process could be adapted for other species with proper modification. Dr. Pax Trell confirmed, his hologram flickering with excitement. The human capacity for genetic adaptation combined with the Aryan resonance technology offers possibilities we're only beginning to understand. Lieutenant Emily Johns, one of their first successful candidates, approached with her Aryan partner Nera. Their residents pulsed with the comfortable intimacy of an established bond. The Centurions aren't the only ones interested, Emily reported, her hand intertwined with Nera's glowing fingers. We've received inquiries from 3 other systems facing similar medical crises. Through their connection, Nathan felt Rhea's satisfaction. What had begun as a desperate measure to save her life had evolved into something far greater, a bridge between species, a cure for seemingly insurmountable diseases, and a new form of diplomatic relations that transcended traditional boundaries. Tell them about the baby, Nera urged, her skin brightening with excitement. Nathan and Ray's attention snapped to the pair. Through their bond, they shared a spike of surprise and joy. Rhea began. Emily nodded, beaming. First confirmed human Aryan conception. Dr. Pax Troll has been bouncing off the wall since the test came back positive. The genetic integration is perfect, Pax Trell interjected, materializing beside them, a true hybrid carrying immunities from both species. The implications for future generations. Nathan pulled Rhea closer, feeling her emotional response to the news. Through their bond, he sensed her thinking of their own attempts at conception over the past months. It's possible for us too, he whispered in her mind. Through their connection, when the time is right, her skin brightened with pleasure and anticipation. The council will be ecstatic. This proves the bonds aren't just about curing the plague, they're about the future of both our species. The Centurion ambassador's crystalline form shimmered with interest. Your species' ability to adapt to form these profound connections, it's unprecedented in galactic history. Humans have always excelled at breaking barriers, Nathan replied, feeling Rhea amused agreement. Through their bond, whether physical, technological, or biological, it's more than that, Emily added her field pulsing in harmony with Nero's. The resonance connection. It changes you, makes you understand each other in ways diplomacy never could. The observation deck hummed with the combined energy of all the bonded pairs, each phi uniquely attuned to its participants. While harmonizing with the others, it created a living tapestry of light and emotion that left the Centurion delegation speechless. Darpax's hologram flickered with barely contained excitement. We've documented 47 successful bonds so far, each one contributing new data about cross-species compatibility. The plague that threatened to destroy the Iran people has instead sparked an evolutionary leap forward through their bond, Nathan felt. Rhea's mind turned to more intimate matters, the success of their program, the visible proof of their legacy, and the pairs around them had awakened familiar desires. Perhaps we should continue this discussion tomorrow, Rhea suggested diplomatically, her skin beginning to pulse with subtle patterns that only Nathan could interpret. The resident fields require regular maintenance. The Cantor and Ambassador's crystalline form flickered in what might have been amusement. Of course, we wouldn't want to interfere with optimal field conditions. Is the delegation departed, followed by the other pairs. Nathan and Rhea remained at the viewport. The stars beyond seemed to dance in rhythm with their strengthening bond. You're thinking about Emily and Nera's news. Nathan observed both through their connection and the way Rhea's hand rested unconsciously on her abdomen. She agreed, turning in his arms. Dr. Pietro's latest tests show our genetic integration is even stronger than theirs if they can conceive. Are you saying you want to conduct some additional experiments? Who teased, though their bond thrummed with shared desire and hope for science. Of course. Keen, she replied, her golden eyes sparkling with mischief and love. We should probably return to our quarters to analyze the possibilities. Their residence field intensified as they made their way through the medical center, drawing knowing looks from the staff. What had begun as a desperate cure had evolved into something beautiful, a testament to humanity's adaptability and the Aryan capacity for connection. In their private quarters, as the residents field pulse with their growing passion, Nathan and Rhea has shared not just physical intimacy, but a profound understanding of how far they had come from those first uncertain moments in the medical bay to now pioneers of a new form of interspecies relationship, creators of a legacy that would span generations. I love you, Rhea whispered, both aloud and through their bond, her skin glowing with patterns that matched the beating of their hearts. Not because you saved my life, but because you showed me what it means to truly live. Nathan responded with actions rather than words, letting their connection express everything. His voice couldn't. The resonance field flared with unprecedented intensity, their shared emotions creating waves of light that rippled through the room. Hours later, as they lay contentedly entwined, Dupax's voice came through the communication system, barely containing his excitement. Captain Hall, Lady Terry, the readings from your quarters, congratulations, are in order. They both froze, their bond humming with sudden realization. You mean? Rhea began, her hand moving to her abdomen. The genetic markers are clear. Paul confirmed. You're going to be parents, the first of our original pair to conceive. The council will be overjoyed. After the communication ended, Nathan and Rhea remained wrapped in each other's arms, their bond overflowing with joy, love, and anticipation. A child, Nathan marveled, feeling the truth of it through their connection. Our child. Rita's skin glowed with maternal pride, a living symbol of what humans and Aryans can achieve together. Hope for both our peoples and for others. Nathan added, thinking of the Centurion delegation and all the species that might benefit from their discovery. Through their bond, they shared visions of the future, their child growing up in a galaxy where interspecies bonds were celebrated, where diseases could be conquered through love and connection, where the boundaries between peoples faded in the light of shared understanding. We did it, Rhea murmured, her golden eyes shining with tears of joy. We really did it. We're just getting started, Nathan replied, pulling her close as their resonance field pulsed with renewed passion. As the stars wheeled past their viewport, their love created new patterns of light in the darkness, a beacon of hope for all who would follow their path. What had begun as a desperate measure to cure a deadly disease had blossomed into something far more profound, a legacy of love that would reshape the galaxy for generations to come.